But it's a little easier to see the screen if I turn that light off. Is that all right with everyone? Okay. I'm going to try to navigate. Okay, everyone on Zoom, can you see the slides? Thumbs up, something.
Yes.
Yes, great. Hi, like Mike said, my name is Eileen Sather, and I'm so honored to be here. I have heard many, many wonderful things about this group and how welcoming you are and how talented you are. And that was evident right there. Thank you for reading. And actually, a lot of what I heard in your piece works really well with what I'm going to talk about. So thank you. We planned that. That was great. So when Mike asked if I would do this, initially I said no, if you remember. And then he said, no, we really want you to come. And he was like, just to talk about whatever your favorite thing is to teach in class. I am primarily a teacher right now. I saw on the little on the name tags, it says like, what is your name and what do you write? And so my name is Eileen and mostly I write like, feedback for students. But I also really love to write fiction and to teach fiction. And so this presentation is really rooted mostly in fiction, but I think there's a lot here that is applicable to creative nonfiction as well. And I'm actually going to start there with, I always joke with my students that I'm a writing teacher and I'm terrible at math and counting. So I'm just going to take a pile of these and hand them out and hopefully, I know I have enough, but I don't know if I need enough to each row, so we did extras, we can pass them around. That would be fun as well. So I'm gonna start with a pretty famous nonfiction essay that you might, creative nonfiction essay that you might be familiar with called Swerve by Brenda Miller, which was originally published in the online magazine Brevity, which publishes Flash creative nonfiction. And I just want to read this piece as a way to set the tone for what the presentation will be about, which is sort of like circling the concept of disruption. Okay. And if someone would be so kind as to help me read, does anyone want to maybe read the first paragraph and then I'll get a second reader, or I'll take the second paragraph? Wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry about that time I ran over a piece of wood in the road. A pound of marijuana in the trunk and a faulty brake light. Any minute, the cops might have pulled us over. So you were edgy already. And then I ran over that piece of stray lumber without even slowing down. Thunk, thunk. And then the wood spun behind us on the road. Your dark face dimmed even darker. And you didn't yell at first, only turned to look out the window. And I made the second mistake. What's wrong? That's when you exploded. You're so careless. You don't even think. What if there had been a nail in that damn thing, you yelled, your face so twisted now and ugly. And I'm always the one that has to fix it whenever something breaks.
Thank you. Does anyone want to take paragraph 2 for me? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I said. And I said it again. And we continued on our way through the desert in the dark of night with the contraband you had put in the trunk, with the brake light you hadn't fixed, blinking on and off. Me driving because you were too drunk or too tired or too depressed, and we traveled for miles into our future, where eventually I would apologize for the eggs being overcooked and for the price of light bulbs and for the way the sun blared through our trailer windows and made everything too bright. And I would apologize when I had the music on and when I had it off. I'd say sorry for being in the bathroom and sorry for crying and sorry for laughing. I would apologize. And finally, for simply being alive. And even now, I'm sorry I didn't swerve. I didn't get out of the way.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, so much packed into such a small space. I really love that essay. And I don't want to talk about it very much. I just wanted to let it sit with you. Again, as a way to sort of set the tone and lead nicely into this idea of disruption with the Miller essay. You know, we have that, what is it? It's a piece of wood in the middle of the road. That's the sort of the small bump in the road disruption. And then as the essay goes on, we learn that that piece of wood is just one small thing in the way of a lot else going on in this relationship. So I thought we could warm up, and I love to give options in class. Can I get rid of, remember this one? So yeah, there we go. And so I thought we'd warm up just for a few minutes. Okay. Got out of the way.
You hit that one in the very.
This one?
The kind other side. That one.
There we go. Thanks, Mike. I told you I can do the one or the other. I can monitor the Zoom or I can do the in person, but the both is challenging for me. So I love to give options to my students. And so I just thought I'd give us choice for a warm up. You can either think and write if you just want to do that. You're feeling like a lone wolf, you don't want to talk to anybody today. Or if you feel like talking to someone, you can turn and talk. And obviously on Zoom, probably you would choose option number one. But following the Miller essay, I'd like you to think about a time in your life when something unexpected happened, right? Changing things abruptly for you. I'm gonna give you a couple of ideas. A relationship ends suddenly, a professional opportunity that you weren't expecting pops up. You have to make a big move for some reason. You can choose to write about this event for a few minutes. I'll keep track, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. We'll kind of see where we're at with time. And I'd love for you to start with this opening sentence frame. I didn't see it coming, but dot, dot, dot. Or if you want to turn and talk, I guess you could do a little bit of both, maybe. You can kind of discuss this moment with someone and think about like aspects of your life that were disrupted by change, choices that were presented to you, anything you've learned has changed. So it'll take about 5 minutes and choose one of those options as a kind of a way in to warm up into this conversation. I'll start talking. Oh, scary, but for the.
We go.
So we just had each other all that and. Showed the guy, it was. Oh, I never had that for any day. This is. I was just, I guess I could have saw it for me, but. I'm not it. Yeah, that. What's just going on? Einstein fellowship. Those friends. Do you have time, traveling cities, travel? Yeah, in urban areas anyway. We have one. Not. It was exciting, you know, it's like. I was ready for something new, so it was great. Yeah, so we got some of these places. Teachers, I stayed there, their schools for. I wasn't ready. So. Yeah. And I said, okay. It's a good. That was perfect. Okay, thanks. I mean, you could do it with different perspective, whereas I was really. Want to have to do all my. And he goes, what's for this? So you're thinking about the walk there, then get your side and then sure. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I didn't see that. No, I don't see that. Yeah. Not the one that read like that. Weird. And it's drops and temperature drops and. I guess. We probably easier to get down or shelter, us hiking, you know, so we just. All because of. I think I probably had a lot of those. There was all one was something like stay with the backyard. And it's really. It's all said, okay, careful with that. That's true.
Maybe 2 more minutes.
Chicago. Someone, I would be having surgery, rotation. And. To go with that. What happened? I mean, I don't know that I can, like, so it's, oh man, it's amazing. I guess I guess. One of the last thing came to him, was I should. It all sound cheap for us in that. In fact, this was a lot of shows, some usually ever pursue. And it has to be exactly what I'm thinking. And every year, so it's no big deal. But.
Hey, there was a break in this class, so I went outside. Both of them look.
Do anything about that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll wrap it up in a minute. If you're writing, let's try to find a good place to stop or make a note to yourself. Where you want to go next. If you're on something.
Oh, you're gonna take the. It's just. So the meeting is. Everything was stated as, you know, you have to start that. I don't think I put that. Yeah, I go back. Which is remembering better. So I never told my friend.
Okay, let's have us come back together. And if you are writing, let's have you find the end of that sentence that you're on. How'd it go? Did we think of something? I love to hear when you're in your conversations, I overheard some like using the language of the prompt. I didn't see that coming. That's great. Sometimes these moments in our real lives are like in that instance, we're not aware, obviously, how monumental that moment is. And with the Miller essay, we can kind of see that it snowballs her understanding of what happened when her partner responded to her that strongly in that moment. Over time, she gained more perspective over it. In storytelling, though, we do want to dramatize these kinds of moments. And when we're talking about fiction, this kind of moment in narrative structure is often referred to as an inciting incident. Maybe a phrase that you've heard before, but an inciting incident is a moment that happens near the beginning of a story, typically. And we'll talk a little bit about structure in a moment. Which destabilizes the current situation for the characters and causes disruption, that word I keep saying, causes change for our protagonists, typically in like a pretty big, dramatic, like can't go back sort of way, okay? We have the normal situation, the status quo of life before for our characters. The inciting incident happens and shakes things up. So I have a few examples in literature and film that come to mind when I think about these sort of like traumatic moments. If anyone's read the Gillian Flynn novel Gone Girl or seen the David Fincher film adaptation, the inciting incident is Nick comes home, can't remember, he was reading in the park or something, and his wife is missing. Every life as he knows it has changed. In Harry Potter, any Harry Potter fans in here? Okay, just me, that's okay. Harry gets a letter. He's living with his aunt and uncle. He's being treated very poorly, and he gets a letter from Hogwarts. inviting him to come to the school and essentially informing him that he is a wizard. And nothing's the same for him after that. And then in the nonfiction memoir Wild, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, there are a few like things that you could call inciting incidents for Cheryl, but I think that the really big change for her is when her mother dies at a really young age. And that sort of leads her on a path to self-destruction that will eventually like push her towards getting on the PCT and trying to change her life. Can you think of another example in a book or a film that might kind of put you on the spot? But other examples of inciting incidents that might fit? Life is normal for a character. Something shakes things up. Yeah.
I just watched Tootsie last night.
Oh, sure.
And the character is a male actor, and he's basically told, nobody will work with
Yes.
you because you're just too hard to work with.
Yep.
And that was the inciting incident that
Yep.
caused him to
He's got
take
to
on another role.
make a different decision, right? Got to do things a little different. That's a perfect example. Awesome. Yeah. You got another one?
Yeah, in Moby Dick, Ishmael goes to a boarding house, and in the middle of the night, a South Sea Islander who's all tattooed and with a weird hairdo and his face is tattooed, climbs in bed with him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the whole novel changes
Goes from
after
there.
that.
Yeah.
And there's this strange but very close friendship that develops between the supposed, in quotes, savage and Ishmael.
Great. That actually leads me really nicely. Thank you for that example, both of you. To my sort of like big picture question. I don't know if you can see that at the very bottom of the screen, but what is the purpose of plotting something like an inciting incident into our stories? Like, why do we want to cause disruption? What can be gained? Yeah.
Is this similar to, like Campbell's hero's journey? Is it like a call to action?
You could map it on that. I'm gonna map it onto the Freytag pyramid next, but a similar kind of where like a request is made and they have to do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yep. Mhm. So what do we need? Why do we need that? Yeah.
I just have no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
That exchange.
Oh, sorry.
You
will in a minute.
Plot. What did you say?
I said you will in a minute, right?
Oh, you're talking about the hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's just another way of like analyzing and discussing plot structure.
Okay.
And so often, well, I can get there. Let's.
Fine, I just wasn't sure if we were supposed to.
Yeah, I didn't mean.
I was gonna show you this
Oh, okay.
next, which I think you can map.
I had no idea that, I don't know.
You can map
It's in the-
a lot of the hero's journey onto the Freytag pyramid. So, and then we'll kind of, I can go back to my big picture question too. So, but so if you, and I don't want to spend too much time here, but just really like, just for a little bit of kind of grounding it in narrative structure, if you're into that kind of thing, which it sounds like you guys are, so that's great. One of like the typical ways that we might discuss narrative structure came to us from a German novelist in the 19th century, named Gustav. Do you say Frey or Freytag?
Freytag.
Freytag. Okay, thank you. Freytag. So you may have seen this graphic before, and he analyzed common plot elements in many of the novels that he had read, and he came up with this graphic essentially. So we have exposition, and so the exposition is like where the story starts, and that's sort of the normal situation for our character or our hero, if you want to talk about the Campbell theory of plot structure. And then the inciting incident is that event that occurs pretty early on, and we just gave a few examples, that shakes things up and changes things for our protagonist or our hero. And in Campbell, would you call the call to action sort of the same thing? It's like something happens and they have to act.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. So far, does that make sense?
I didn't know, I just seen that. I
Okay.
had no idea what that. But
Great, that's fun. I'm glad to share this and talk about
I
it.
didn't know about.
Yeah. And so the inciting incident is I just wanted to show you like where do these kinds of events typically occur in narrative structure, usually fairly early on. Okay, so we might spend a little bit of time establishing the normal situation for our characters, and then pretty quickly we want to shake things up. Okay, why? Back to the big picture question. Why do we want to do so? Why do we want to disrupt? What can we get from that? Let's go you.
But it creates interest.
Yes.
Creating a problem to be
Yeah.
solved is a very human thing.
Yes.
We want to fix it. How
Yes.
do we get around this?
Definitely. Same answer or something different?
Kind of similar, like it definitely creates interest and it gives you an opportunity to get invested in a character very quickly. But you also learn things about them at a very
Yes.
fast volume because you, by figuring, based on the reaction to this information, you can kind of tell what their status quo is by contrasting it with how they think this is gonna shake up their life, and it can reveal a lot. Like kind of how people say you learn a lot about people in a crisis if you have something like that here, and it doesn't have to be an actual crisis, it can just be something the character considers a crisis.
Yes. I share this like list of rules with my fiction students that Vonnegut wrote, and one of them is like put your characters through hell. It's kind of like what you were just talking about, right? It's like, whatever hell might be, what particular brand of hell works for that character, right? Yeah.
It will show the character's strengths and weaknesses too. It brings
Yes.
both sides of what's going on.
We can learn so much from our hero, from our protagonist, by watching them react to a major shift, to a major disruption, to keep using the word I keep using. Yeah.
So exposition may be interesting to read, but at a certain point, you have no real reason to continue reading that exposition without something happening,
Yeah.
something changing, something engaging the reader.
That's a good word. I was
It's
hoping
the
that we would
pressure
get to
point.
engagement at some point too, right? That's what hooks us in. We want to see how they react. We want to follow the story. Yeah.
I think it also introduces the challenge of the story too, or
Mhm.
the, trying to think of the word, but.
Conflict.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, that one, yes.
It's good. An inciting incident. It's a great way to talk about conflict. It's like kicks off the rest, like sort of the major conflicts. Yeah.
It's the pressure point.
Yes.
Once you put the character under pressure,
Mhm.
then the direction will change.
Then we see what happens, right? And as we can see with the graphic, rising action ensues, leading to a climax, and then typically there's a fall off at some point, but the inciting incident is what starts us off on that escalating journey. Yeah.
It points you in the direction of where the story's gonna go, so generally at the inciting incident, you know a little bit about the climax.
Yes, that's a really good point. It's kind of like forecasting something into the future, what's gonna happen. That's great. Let's take a couple more and then we'll move to another one. Yeah.
I have a question on how long the exposition is, because I just went to a writing workshop in Portland and every presenter talked about how you have to start with action, description of, and I.
Well, that's such a good question. You know, I don't love to give hard and fast rules, and it depends on the length
Yeah.
of the piece. Does anyone have do you have a rule, or do you say like how quickly it's gonna happen?
I think, again, when you go to those workshops,
Yeah.
they're talking about commercial writing and it's very formulaic. So inciting incident happens sometimes in the first sentence, right? And you
Kinda got it in Swerve in the
What?
first sentence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in a 2-paragraph thing, you need to sort of get on it.
Get there
right?
really fast.
But again, it's kind of what Judy was saying. If the exposition's good, if the sentences are good and the words are good, you could wander through a beautiful meadow for a little while before Godzilla shows up, right? Or Godzilla can just eat it, right? But it's up to it's up to you. I totally agree with Eileen. There are no rules. There are ideas that.
I just wanted to talk about one more way of thinking about structure. And I know, Mike, don't you sometimes do the hero's journey? That's kind of why I stayed away from.
I do this too.
Oh, you do the story fine? And there's another way to think about structure, if this kind of thing is helpful for you with plotting, thinking about the sequence of events in a story. The story spine is sometimes attributed to Pixar. I first came across it in like a piece called like the 22 Rules of Storytelling from Pixar, but I think it's also, they might have stolen it from, I wrote it down, I wanted to make sure, a playwright named Ken Adams. So I feel like that might be where it originated from. But a story spine is like it's like an 8 sentence way of breaking down the major beats in the structure of a narrative piece. So once upon a time, there was blank, and I'm gonna do Toy Story real quick. Do we know Toy Story? Most of us? Okay. Sure. I wanted to do a Pixar one. Once upon a time, there was a toy cowboy named Woody, who was owned by a child named Andy. Every day, Woody was the favorite toy of Andy and the leader of the group of toys. But one day, this is our inciting incident. Does anyone know what happened? What's the inciting incident? Buzz Lightyear. There's our inciting incident. But one day, Buzz Lightyear shows up. He becomes Andy's favorite toy. Okay. And then because of that, Woody gets jealous. Because of that, Woody pushes Buzz out of a window. Because of that, more things happen until finally they have to find a way to work together, essentially, to get back to Andy and his family before they move. And ever since then, now they're a team. Harmony has been re-solidified among the toys. Okay, so I just wanted to give you the story spine as another way to think about structure, and another way to think about where an inciting incident might fit into. Okay.
I think that there's
Yeah.
the genius subplot in this was that the Buzz Lightyear thought that he was.
I know. I was trying to simplify things. We forgot. I didn't even mention that. But thank you for keeping me honest. Right. I was just trying to get through the main beats. But yes, we also have the added layer of Buzz thinking he's a real astronaut and not a toy. Speaking of astronauts, we're gonna do I'd love to look at 2 examples, one short film clip, and if we have time, read an excerpt from short fiction, which I gave you in the packet I handed out at the beginning. And this is a 5-minute clip from The Martian, the film adapted, or the film adapted the novel by Andy Weir. Has anyone read The Martian or seen the movie? Awesome. I'm going to give a tiny bit of context, and then we'll watch the inciting incident scene just to get a sense of how these things work in action, and some things that I want to talk about afterwards, just to be transparent. What is the normal life that is being disrupted? What do we know about this character and what their life looks like before this moment happens? Okay. What options does the character have now? Think about agency, choices that the character can make. What happens if they do nothing or they make the wrong choice? So think about stakes, what's to be lost and what's to be gained. And then how does this moment make you want to keep watching? You talked about engagement, right? So this is kind of like the engagement question. Okay. Mike, do you want to pause your recording? I didn't know that y'all couldn't record YouTube, sorry. Okay. Am I still share? Can you, in the chat, can you see The Martian? Doing any more movies? It keeps creeping me out for some reason. Okay. I'm gonna turn the backlight back. All right. Kind of like a normal status quo was disrupted. I know I mostly gave you that context, but what do we know? What can we tell about this character? What their life might have been like before this?
Extraordinary to be there with others.
He was meant to be there with other people. Yes, he's not meant to be alone. Yeah, what were you saying?
I think extraordinarily calm under extreme pressure.
Yes, this is a very competent and calm character that we're dealing with. I mean, I don't know that I could pull whatever he just pulled out of himself, out of myself, right?
He did a similar trick in the Bourne movies where.
Oh, yeah, so Matt Damon knows all about that. He's
himself.
good.
I laugh because it's a trope, like in westerns, to put the bullet in the.
Yes, no little, here's a ding, no, I, totally. What options does Mark Watney have now? What can he do?
Well, it didn't seem like he knew that other people were around. He didn't look for anybody or call anybody.
Yeah.
Like, Mary, are you here, or whoever.
Figuring out how alone he really is.
Right.
Okay, good. What else can he do? What's next for him? Yeah.
I mean, knowing he's been left on Mars, he could have just like laid down and died if he wanted. but
Yes.
He very much
That's
had
a
a drive.
choice.
He very much had a drive to survive and to do things. He was like, okay, I know what happened. I know what I need to do, and
I gotta get
figured
this
it out pretty quickly.
piece of whatever out of me right away, okay? And we know this is a calm and collected guy who can do that, who can take that action into his hands. Yeah,
I was gonna say something that's also pretty effective, is when you should, like, having an incident like this and showing a character dealing with it. Something we need to understand is if it's an experience that not everyone has, for example, like being in space, having limited resources and being injured, then it's a good way to get us to care for a character is to have some element of it be familiar, like maybe we don't know a lot of his situation, but we understand being in pain. We understand how like in those experiences, you really have to be careful with what you're doing. And so it keeps us, it's something that's familiar enough in an unfamiliar situation that we can still get our bearings.
that's a really great point. Yeah.
I had actually said he was trained to be with others rather than meant to be. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. It sounds an awful, so yeah, you're right. But the training is what is intriguing for somebody to go forward, because that calmness is trained to
Mhm.
survive the training.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we call this like the genius moment, like where we see what like the genius of a character is early on. And that calmness, that collected, like that nature that you mentioned right away, with that training, we see that in the action that he takes immediately. And there, if you've seen the movie or read the book, there is a moment a little bit later on where he like basically like takes a breath and is like, I'm not gonna die here. And that's like the decision, right? So that what happens if he does nothing? He's gonna die, right? That's the stakes in this particular situation are life or death. Okay, so that's the stakes of the story. And if he doesn't choose right, if he doesn't make the right decisions, then he will die, right? To put it bluntly. Okay, how does this moment, this disruptive incident, how does it make you want to keep watching or reading?
Figure out what he's
You
gonna
want to
do
find out what
next.
happens next.
If other people have other jobs to do, how is he gonna accomplish all of what they were collectively doing?
Great point. He's got a lot of tasks to juggle now, right?
I think you have sympathy for him.
Yes.
Being left alone and injured.
Yep.
Anytime we're left alone or injured, we have sympathy for ourselves, right?
Yep.
So,
Definitely.
Is that the beginning of the movie?
It's probably about 15 minutes in.
Oh, okay.
So to answer whoever's question was about like how long, they got there real quick. Like 10, 15 minutes in. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, like, if we're looking at this in terms of story beats, the
Mhm.
inciting incident, I wonder how much, I feel like that might have been more when they were taking off and leaving Mars, and then it's a good example of like him being left alone isn't the only inciting incident. We have like a smaller component of that he has to act on immediately, as opposed to if he's just sitting there and he could be like, guys. And that's a very different sort of
Yeah.
experience.
You're right. Them leaving is what I would call the inciting incident. That whole clip together is like 15 minutes. And I was like, let's get to the part where he's actually reacting. But you're right. I would probably call them actually going away the inciting incident. And basically what I should do is him dealing with that. Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. Yeah.
And I think an interesting kind of sub issue, kind of like the Buzz Lightyear thing is, he has the choice of not doing anything and dying, and we're all gonna die eventually, right? And so the question is, why make the effort to live? And what's he got to live for? And then when they find out that he's alive, why are they gonna muster the phenomenal amount of resources they're gonna muster to try to rescue
save
this guy
this one
freaking
person.
Mars, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about like kind of loyalty and
Yeah.
human loyalty.
Yep.
So
That's another form of stakes, of establishing stakes, right? There are stakes for Mark, and then there's stakes for the other people around him that have to make decisions to come back and rescue him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like in a more meta sense too, just the casting of Matt Damon in that role is sympathetic to begin with, because
Yeah.
generally I'd say pretty extraordinarily well-liked actor.
Yes.
And so just the fact that it is Matt Damon makes you want
You
to.
wanna get him off
keep
Mars.
going.
You
Yeah.
just do.
Keep them alive.
Yeah. Well, we have like 15 minutes left, so let's do let's try to get to the text example that I gave you. So if you flip to the second page, I actually thought about cutting this at even the bottom of the first page, so maybe we will just read that much together. We'll just read through the this first page here, and this is an excerpt from, I went for kind of like big, well-known examples for this. So this is an excerpt from Bullet in the Brain by Tobias Wolff, which is a short story, fictional short story. And this is actually this is the beginning that I gave to the inciting incident. So we'll just read the first page. I think there's enough there for us to be able to dig into some of the same kinds of questions about how this moment is working in the text. Anyone want to read paragraph 1 for me? We could do like a pop reading. No. Are you going to go for it? Thank you. And then I can take over.
Anders couldn't get to the bank until just before it closed. So of course, the line was endless and he got stuck behind two women whose loud, stupid conversation put him in a murderous temper. He was never in the best of tempers anyway. Anders, a book critic, known for the weary, elegant savagery with which he dispatched almost everything he reviewed.
Thank you. I'll do paragraph 2 and then somebody think about if they want to do paragraph 3. With the line still doubled around the rope, one of the tellers stuck a position closed sign in her window and walked to the back of the bank where she leaned against a desk and began to pass the time with a man shuffling papers. The women in front of Anders broke off their conversation and watched the teller with hatred.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice, one of them said. She turned to Anders and added, confident of his accord, one of those little human touches that keeps us coming back for more.
Anders had conceived his own towering hatred of the teller, but he immediately turned it on the presumptuous crybaby in front of him. Damned unfair, he said. Tragic, really. If they're not chopping off the wrong leg or bombing your ancestral village, they're closing your positions.
She stood her ground. I didn't say it was tragic, she said. I just think it's a pretty lousy way to treat your customers.
Unforgivable, Anders said. Heaven will take note.
Mike, you want to give me the next one? She sucked in her cheek.
She sucked in her cheeks, but stared past him and said nothing. Anders saw that the other woman, her friend, was looking in the same direction. And then the tellers stopped what they were doing, and the customers slowly turned, and silence came over the bank. 2 men wearing black ski masks and blue business suits were standing to the side of the door. One of them had a pistol pressed against the guard's neck. The guard's eyes were closed and his lips were moving. The other man had a sawed-off shotgun. Keep your big mouth shut, the man with the pistol said, though no one had spoken a word. One of you tellers hits the alarm and you're all dead meat. Got it?
I'm going to go a little bit more and then I'll stop. The teller's nodded. Oh, bravo, Anders said, dead meat. He turned to the woman in front of him. Great script, eh? The stern, brass-knuckled poetry of the dangerous classes. She looked at him with drowning eyes. We'll stop there because that's a really great line. Okay. What do we know about Anders?
He's a growth.
He's a growth. That's very well said. Perfect. Succinct. How do we know that? What are we told or given to us? Or shown, told or shown, and or.
We're told he has
In his reviews.
a murderous temper.
He has a murderous temper. He's a very mean book critic. Okay, good. So normal life for him must be what? What do you think? If you had to extrapolate.
Drudgery.
Drudgery. Everything is drudgery for him. He hates reading everything he has to read. He takes it as a personal affront. Okay. So the disruption. He's waiting in line at the bank, and there's a robbery is going to occur. What kind of options do we think Andrews has? Yeah,
You could shut up.
he could shut up. Does it seem like he's going to? No. This is one of the genius strokes of the story. If you've read it or just you're getting a sense of where it's going, is that a normal person might be quiet and follow. Normal is not, that's not a nice word to use, but like the typical person might be quiet and follow instructions, but not Anders, right? Anders is gonna keep making pointed barbs, right? So how does this moment make you want to keep reading? What is it? Yeah, go ahead.
You wonder kind of what's gonna happen first. Is he gonna stop talking or is he gonna get shot?
Yeah, and the title might give you a little bit of a hint. Right? Spoiler alert.
Again, his level of condescension,
Mhm.
to the rest of the world around him. It's interesting to think, how is he going to interact with these criminals, and how is the bullet gonna?
We take a person like that and we put them in a situation like this, right? That is what is working so well here for Wolf, because he's kind of like, because Andrew's just kind of a loose cannon. We don't really know. Yeah.
I think what also works really well is, establishing this character, once you've established that he's kind of a curmudgeon, then, the fact that we get presented with a very high stakes life or that situation, and he continues to be audibly not taking it seriously and voicing that, it shows you how deep this is going for him. Because if you had you have the woman who also has a similar complaint, but then she's quiet when this happens. So if the situation was less high stakes, we wouldn't understand exactly how deep it goes, but it's demonstrated through this, which is kind of one of the best ways to do exposition, is demonstrating it.
That's such a really nice point, right? Where we need that high stakes to understand sort of like how jaded Anders is, and like where he's gotten as a character. This moment like puts that into real focus. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even care if he gets shot
Yeah. Right.
also.
We keep reading, we might find out.
Well, I was just looking at the title, Bullet in the Brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit of a hint. Yeah. So we have a good sense of where this is going. I'm almost out of time, so I'm gonna just kind of do a real, thank you all so much for all of your wonderful insights. This has been so fun. You should come to all my classes. This is great. This level of participation is awesome. So like just kind of applying some of the stuff that we've been talking about, just to be really direct at the end here, applying some of this, making it work in our own writing. So thinking about using an inciting incident, and I've been talking about it mostly in the realm of fiction, but I think a lot of this can apply to, you can't make it up if you're reading nonfiction, but as we saw from your reading, like lots of us have these sort of pivotal life moments that we could mine and write about too, if you're writing not creative nonfiction. But thinking about using an inciting incident as a way to establish some of the following: disruption, okay, the word of the day. So what was life like for the characters before this incident? Like how might a disruption serve them in any way, right? Like how could it, change this character something or help them grow in some way, okay? Agency, right? So agency when we think about agency, we want to think about choices. What are the choices that are available to this character in this way? Okay, or in this moment or after this moment? What are the options available to them? What happens if they make the wrong move? What can we learn about them? Many of you have been talking about that, like what we're learning from these characters in these sort of high stakes moments, put our characters in hot water and see how they react. And then stakes. What does the character stand to lose or gain from after dealing with this moment? And sort of just like the bottom line, like with an inciting incident, we kind of want to be able to answer the following. Like from this moment on, the character must blank or else blank, right? So like Mark must, from this moment on, Mark must, figure out a way to survive. Like really, from one of the examples that we I did have a prompt, which we don't have time for, but if you want to try it, maybe you could take a picture with your phone, or Mike has, I don't know if you have another way of sharing out.
If you can send me this,
You
I'll
want to
post
share?
it.
I already did email them to you, so
Okay,
you
then
have,
I'll post the,
Yeah,
I'll
you can
post
post
these
the
slides
slides.
on the website.
yeah. So if you wanna try, something like this, I gave a lower stakes. Both, I realized after the fact that both of the examples that I picked were like life or death. So it's like, the stakes is staying alive or not staying alive, but some lower stakes options. A character getting an unexpected phone call in the middle of the night. You could do, if that doesn't spark anything for you, you could do like a character from their past shows up and makes a request of them. Whatever you are trying, if you choose to work on a prompt like this, remember our goals. We're trying to disrupt the status quo. We're trying to provide at least a hint of the stakes, what is gained or lost, and we're trying to force our characters into action, into making some kinds of decisions. Do we still do questions even?
Put that back up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Do we, I'll just say
you
questions.
Status quo, yeah.
This was a question than just like an observation.
Please, oh yeah, comments, questions, whatever.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a lot of literary fiction that plays with form and time and like point of view and
Yes.
stuff in a way where it doesn't have as traditional a plot or inciting incident, but like, I don't know what the name of it's called, but there's like a novel or novella that basically takes place where a character's in an elevator and they're sitting and thinking about life. And then that's like the whole book. It's like, I don't think they leave that elevator and they're not stuck or anything. It's just, it's basically just following this character's thoughts and there's no, but like even that inciting incident is like, okay, a moment where they're having to sit and think. That's kind of like the thing that starts them on that path of thinking, even if it's not what's forcing them to act per se.
Yep.
Same with like a character who's reflecting on things or telling a story to another person. Like the inciting incident is kind of the reason for them thinking about this or going on that journey. And it can be helpful to just think of it as like a reason.
Yes, of a prompt of some kind. Yeah, and I think that's a great point too. Obviously, I've been kind of talking about it in fairly strict structural terms. But there are ways to think about this as just providing movement in your piece in some way. Yeah.
So my question has to do with, is this something you recommend doing before you start writing your piece? Or is this something you do as you go along?
I will also kind of say that what works for you as a writer, I don't want to dictate, but I do think starting with a really quick outline, like a story spine, like it can literally be an 8-sentence story spine. And if you do a really short, brief outline like that, then you're just going to be reminding yourself, okay, I want to give movement. I want to give the opportunity to cause disruption and to have a destabilizing event of some kind. So if the question you're asking me is about like planning, yeah. When I write, I do think I have a very loose idea of where the story is gonna go. So I might do a really quick like bullet, like what are the beats gonna be, bullet point outline, what's the story spine? And then it, as many of us know, it might change as we write. And for some of you, you might hate me saying that you have to outline before. You don't have to. You can find your way in, but then I might reflect. If you don't plan ahead, then I might go back and say, okay, do I have a moment like this? And if I don't, can I put something in? Where can I find a nice spot for something like this? Maybe that's not a satisfying answer, but I do think it's kind of your style is what works for your process and your style as a writer. Yeah.
I just had to comment that last line of the piece we read, she looked at him with dry eyes. It's just genius.
He's the best.
I mean, is it giving us insight into her emotional state? Is she crying? Or is it like a substitution for dialogue? Where she's saying, dude, you're gonna get us all killed. It's amazing.
It's so visceral and you can interpret it in a lot of different ways. I love that line. I wanted to get there, so I'm glad you liked it. I wanted to be able to read it. If you haven't read that piece, you can find it so many places online. You can also find it in his collection. I wrote it on there the night in question. And I read the whole thing. The ending, we're just like, knock your socks off. It's so good, right?
Yeah, I'll see if I can, I can post it online.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
the ending's so good. I didn't give you the ending. I just gave you the first 2 pages, so sorry. But I think you could probably find the full text online a lot of different places. And if the ending doesn't make you cry, then I don't know. I hope
Then
it
you're
does.
inhuman.
Then you're not here. Okay, great. Thank you
Great,
so
thank
much
you.
for having me. This was really cool. And yeah, Mike, feel free to,
Yeah, they're actually, her slides are posted online now, and along with these readings, and I'll try and get that bullet in the brain on there as well. I've got a copy of it somewhere that I can post, so. Thank you, Eileen, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you everyone at home for coming. And those of you who are at home, go have snacks with your friends, because that's what we're gonna do here. And I am shutting this down.
your midterm.